Hello, and welcome to the Kappa Heat Watch volunteer training video. Thank you for participating and taking the time to learn about the first step in safeguarding your region from heat waves. Heat Watch has been performed in dozens of cities around the world, with more emerging every year. You, as a volunteer, are the core of this effort, and it couldn't happen without your active participation. In this video, we'll be covering the essentials of a heat campaign, including the logistics for you as a volunteer and data collector. These steps include preparation, activation, execution, and follow-up of your campaign. After viewing this video, you will be asked to complete a short knowledge check quiz, so be sure to pay attention to your role. If you missed something, you can always go back and view the video at any time while taking the quiz. There will also be a volunteer release of liability waiver linked in the knowledge check that all volunteers must complete before participating in a heat campaign. The liability waiver simply states that you are participating at your own free will and that you will do your best to follow all the instructions. Kappa Strategies, which stands for Climate Adaptation Planning and Analytics, is a global consulting group that works with community groups to better prepare places for the impact of climate change-induced hazards. Kappa's flagship service, the Heat Watch campaign, is a volunteer-based program aimed at better understanding urban heat islands and how they contribute to the overall distribution of heat in cities. Outcomes from these campaigns have been instrumental in informing actions to improve public and environmental health. Many of you may already be familiar with the urban heat island effect, and here is a quick primer. High-energy radiation coming from the sun is absorbed by materials we use to build our cities. Some materials, like concrete, asphalt, and roadways, absorb the sun's radiation and release it slowly, making certain areas of cities hotter during the day and keeping them from cooling off completely at night. Other features of cities, like parks, streams, light-colored surfaces, also absorb the sun's radiation, though are quick to transform it or reflect it away. These areas are generally cooler areas, though many other factors also play into your experience of temperatures in each neighborhood. What areas of your region are hotter and cooler? Lots of people have been trying to understand the distribution of heat, though we currently lack higher resolution or finer grain detail descriptions of what each of us feels as we move about our places. As temperatures rise in cities around the world, this is becoming a burning question. How are our infrastructure, environment, and people affected differently by this rising heat, and what can we do about it? You may have seen satellite-derived images that describe differences in heat across your region. While these are helpful for seeing differences, they are generally coarse descriptions consisting of rooftops and surface temperatures, which is not what we might experience in these areas. Our method of near-surface or ground-based measurements uses a combination of actual air temperatures that you collect and incorporates adjacent land cover types to more closely describe the heat we feel in much greater detail than satellites can currently provide. The on-the-ground method involves collecting tens of thousands, or in some cases, hundreds of thousands, of individual measurements of temperature and humidity simultaneously across urban areas at 3 times throughout a high-heat, no-rain day. Collecting information across these timeframes helps us understand how heat distribution changes throughout the day and night. This essential phase of data collection is where your participation begins. Heat campaign volunteers drive or bicycle with highly sensitive instruments along pre-planned routes or traverses to collect these measurements. More on this later. These data points are then fed into our machine learning algorithms that examine the surrounding land cover of each data point and produce a visual model of the temperature and heat index across the entire region. Take a minute and consider, where in your neighborhood always seems especially hot on high-temperature summer days? What about cool? Where would you go outside to cool off on a hot day? Why are they cooler or hotter? What aspects of that space make them more or less comfortable? Great! You're thinking like a climate scientist already. With the context set, let's next get into the details of the campaign and the important roles you'll play in helping to identify hotter and cooler spots across your region. Step 1. Prepare. The step you're now beginning as part of this training is prepare. Here, you'll learn about the polygons and routes. In order to map heat across an entire region, your campaign's overall study area has been split into multiple sub-areas, or polygons as we'll refer to them. Each of these polygons contains a diverse set of land covers, such as parks, commercial centers, residential developments, and schools. Because the particular land cover at a location strongly influences the amount of heat that is felt there, collecting many data points across a variety of land covers will help inform the predictions of heat across the full study area. In data lingo, this way of selectively collecting data is called sampling, and means that we don't need to gather information from every square inch of the polygon in order to make predictions about temperature and humidity across the entire area. You will be sampling the set of land covers in your polygon by transporting data collection equipment along pre-planned routes or traverses over 3 individual hours throughout the day. To help in this task, you may serve as a driver, navigator, or bicyclist. If driving, you'll be paired into teams of 2 people, 1 driver and 1 navigator. Navigators will help the driver travel safely by directing turn-by-turn directions along the route. Drivers and navigators are welcome to switch roles between morning, afternoon, and evening routes. Bicyclists, on the other hand, are asked to memorize their route ahead of time or plan stops to check their map, as navigating and bicycling at the same time is advised against for the sake of safety. Bicyclists are also asked to take special care of their health as they'll be outside exercising in hot weather. More on that later. Across all these volunteer roles is the responsibility to be safe and adaptive while traversing your routes. For an assortment of reasons, you may need to stray from your plan while driving or bicycling. We will discuss how to handle these adjustments later, though want to emphasize the importance of being flexible when needed throughout the campaign. Whether driving, navigating, or bicycling, your campaign organizer will reach out to you after this training to assign polygons and driving routes, as well as to coordinate teams of drivers and navigators. If you have the extra time, you might practice driving or bicycling your route prior to campaign day to familiarize yourself with the turns and traffic patterns. After this training, you'll also need to sign the Heat Watch Volunteer Waiver in order to participate. Step 2. Activate. In this step, your organizer will confirm the date of the campaign and coordinate when and where you can pick up your equipment. As your tentative campaign date approaches, your organizer will be paying close attention to the weather forecast and keeping an eye out for the ideal high heat, clear skies day. Once this is determined, they'll send out an email confirming the date or advising backup plans, as well as advising a time and location for you to pick up your equipment. Your equipment package will consist of several items: your data collection unit, a charging cable, a wall adapter, and a car adapter. Because our process relies on reuse, all of these materials are required to be returned to your organizer in a timely fashion after completion of your campaign. The package also contains a Science in Progress bumper magnet to be affixed to your rear bumper, letting other drivers know that you are on an important mission for science. If you plan to keep thinking like a climate researcher, you are welcome to keep the bumper magnet as a token of our appreciation. Otherwise, please return the magnet to your organizer along with the rest of your equipment after the campaign. Now we'll learn about how to install and operate your data collection equipment. The equipment is made up of a temperature and humidity sensor attached to a neck that houses the data transfer wires and the body containing the battery and data storage. The equipment should be assembled, sterilized, and charged when you pick it up. Once you've arrived at the beginning of your route and are parked in a safe spot, turn on the sensor and wait for the blinking green light to turn solid. This is how you know if the GPS is tracking. If it takes more than 10 minutes, move to another location and try again. With the sensor set, roll down your passenger side window, fit the window into the slot of the device, and roll up the window until the device feels stable and secure. Keep your window rolled up for the duration of your route. A blinking red light indicates 30 minutes of battery life remaining, and a solid light indicates 5 minutes remaining. If your sensor needs charging, simply plug it into the car charger provided. Step 3. Execute. It's campaign day. On the designated campaign day, you'll be driving with the equipment along your same route 3 times, typically 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., and 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. These times are generally seen to exhibit the most consistent weather of all daylight hours. Here is the general schedule for campaign day. At least 15 minutes prior to the first traverse, arrive to the starting point of your route, park in a safe location, and turn on and install your data collection equipment. At the top of the hour, begin to follow your route. Our software will later remove any data collected before the start of the hour, so there's no advantage to getting a head start. In order for equipment to make the most accurate measurements, vehicles should be moving between 5 and 35 miles per hour. All driving routes are designed to avoid highways and fast-moving roads. But if you find yourself on a road with a higher speed limit than 35 miles an hour, you may try driving in the right lane or turning on your hazard lights to indicate you are intentionally moving slowly. Driving safely is the most important, so if you need to move with the flow of traffic, please do so. Conversely, if you hit traffic and slow down, that's okay too. Also, look for and be sure to avoid low-hanging tree branches or other obstacles that might catch or knock the equipment from its position. Remember to never roll down the window while moving. It may be tempting for the navigator to take a picture out the window, but equipment can easily fall and be damaged if not secured properly at moving speeds. If you find a part of your route is blocked or has a designated detour, do your best to get back on track when you can, and follow the same path in your remaining routes. Again, your safety is most important, and more likely than not, you will be collecting usable data that will sufficiently describe your polygon's temperature distribution. If you finish the planned route early, you can continue to drive within your polygon until the end of the hour, though do try to avoid repeating parts of your route or crossing over locations you've already visited. If there is the unlikely event of rainfall or any form of precipitation during your traverse, you should immediately pull over and bring the equipment inside the vehicle, or inside a bag if you are on a bicycle. If bicycling, be sure to monitor and take care of your health by drinking plenty of water, wearing sunscreen, and stopping to rest as needed. A full list of health considerations for bicyclists is available in your electronic volunteer folder. At the end of the hour, pull over at a safe location and uninstall the equipment. Once you're fully stopped, remove the device and store it in a cool, dry place, and plug into a charger if necessary. The equipment's battery life is roughly 10 hours on a single charge, and needs just 1 hour of charging to be fully restored. Repeat the above process for the afternoon and evening traverses in the same manner. After the last traverse, or on the following day, please return all equipment at the time and location designated by your organizer. Again, you are welcome to keep the bumper magnet if you would like to. If anything unexpected occurs during your traverse, like issues with the equipment, mishaps with the timing of your traverse, or rain, please be sure to convey these notes to your local organizer, who will provide a report to the data analysts. For any issues on the day of your campaign regarding equipment, technical issues, scheduling, or logistics, reach out to your campaign organizer directly by phone. Way to go! You've just served as an integral part in better understanding and preparing against extreme heat in your city. Step 4. Follow-up. The last step in your rule is to engage with the results of your campaign. After your equipment is received, CAPA will begin analyzing the many tens or even hundreds of thousands of measurements collected by campaign volunteers. They will produce traverse point maps for each of the 3 campaign hours, such as these, showing the hotter and cooler points along your route amongst the other routes driven by your fellow volunteers. Analysts will also create area-wide predictive surface models for each of the 3 campaign hours, as seen here. Kappa will share the results and summary of the campaign directly with your organizer, who will then plan the release of results to media outlets and the volunteer team, typically 6 to 8 weeks following the day of the campaign. Taking a look at the maps of your traverse points and the predictive area-wide surfaces, you might consider, did the places I expected to be particularly hot show up as so? Were cooler spots as expected? What surprises did you see? And do you have any guesses as to why they might appear as warmer or cooler? Jot down your answers to these questions to share with your team. Once you've had the time to review the outputs and reflect, please take a few minutes to share your experiences, what you learned, and suggest ways for us to improve the HeatWatch program with us in our feedback survey. You are also encouraged to take photos throughout the campaign and share your HeatWatch experience on social media. You can engage with the Kappa team by tagging the program's Instagram @KappaHeatWatch or tweet us @StrategiesKappa. If you're not on social media, you can upload photos directly to the electronic photos folder. We love to hear about your experiences, from your initial expectations of how heat is distributed in your city, to action shots during data collection, to reactions of seeing the results used in building resilience and climate adaptation. You can also use social media to keep track of HeatWatch programs and results in other cities around the US and world. As you're considering ways to use the information, the organizing team will be working with the Kappa team to further explore the data and implement the information into resilience efforts. Stay tuned for the opportunity to participate in future campaigns in your area, as your city team may be interested in tracking trends in heat over time. Here are your next steps as a campaign volunteer. These can also be found in your electronic folder. Complete the knowledge check found in the volunteer folder. This should only take 5 to 10 minutes maximum. Sign the electronic volunteer waiver. Your organizer will contact you to assign your polygon and driving route. Practice driving your route and review campaign materials, including re-watching this video as needed and reviewing volunteer facts. Pick up or receive your equipment at the time and location to be designated by your organizer. Confirm your availability once your campaign day is confirmed by your organizer. Arrive to starting point 15 minutes prior to your morning route on campaign day, and return 15 minutes before your afternoon and evening routes as well. Turn on and install your data collection equipment, waiting for a solid green light. Don't roll your window up or down until you've safely parked at the end of your hour. Drive or bicycle the same route at 3 designated times throughout the day. Return all equipment to the organizer and report any incidences. Participate in follow-up activities, like posting on social media and following future campaigns. If you have any additional questions, please reach out to your organizer through the contact information they've provided. Thank you so much for spending the time to learn about your important role as a volunteer data collector on this campaign. We couldn't do this without you.